Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor, hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. Obviously, coming off the bye at 5-5, you got 7 more to go, and they'll start in Atlanta on Sunday against the Falcons, who are also coming off of a bye. And earlier today, Dennis Allen updated a little bit, vaguely, the injury statuses of Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore. And in doing so, he just said both of them are going to, quote, take some time. He was then asked, are they going to go on injured reserve? And he wouldn't even comment on that. So to this point, they're not on injured reserve. I would imagine that's an option and a possibility based on his not answering the question. It wasn't like he said, oh, no, there's no way. The options are on the table. It's reasonable to suggest that Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore are not going to play this week against Atlanta. It's really reasonable to think they may not play for a few weeks here. What the injuries are and how severe, I couldn't tell you that, but it's going to take some time for those two guys to get back into the fold. Derek Carr, still in the concussion protocol. Bye week comes at a pretty good time here for the Saints in terms of their quarterback, so they may be able to get him back, but he'll just have to progress throughout the week. We just did this here in Baton Rouge with Jaden Daniels on the LSU front. Obviously, Derek Carr, a little bit different situation there, but we'll see how that progresses. What I wanted to do now is to take an opportunity to look at the schedule the Saints have remaining and see what I think is coming over the next 7 weeks for this New Orleans football team. And I'm going to go as far as to pick wins and losses here. We know that they're at the Falcons this week. The Falcons have made the decision to go with Desmond Ridder again this week. They tried Heineke. He's banged up a little bit, but they're going to go back to Desmond Ridder this week. They've been decent at home. They're 3-2 at home, but it's been a pretty bad football team of late. I think the Saints can go to Atlanta and win that game. I'm going to chalk that one up as a win. Then the Saints come home to play Detroit. I'm not ready to pick the Saints to beat a team that's 8-2 right now. The Saints do not play very many good teams this year. Jacksonville's pretty good. They went into the Dome and kind of controlled that game. And I think it's very possible the Lions may come in and do the same thing. So I would pick the Lions to beat the Saints. That would put the Saints at 6-6. Then you got a home game against the Panthers, who might be the worst team in the league. They have not scored 16 or more points in a month over in Carolina. So tough start to Bryce Young's career. And then you look over what C.J. Stroud's doing, and things really might not have been handled properly by the Panthers in the draft. We'll see. It's early, but I think the Saints will win that game at home against Carolina. Then they play another home game against the Giants. The Giants have Tommy DeVito playing quarterback right now. They do have Saquon finally healthy, and they did look decent yesterday. But I still think the Saints should be able at home to handle the 3-8 Giants and Tommy DeVito. Should be. They didn't go handle Josh Dobbs. That was on the road. This one's at home. So I will take the Saints. That, at that point, would put them at 8-6 with 3 games to play. They go out west to play the Rams. Stafford's been hurt, kind of banged up. You know what the situation is. Cooper Kupp went out of the game yesterday. Don't think that's going to be super serious. He should be back in a month. But I'm going to take the Rams to beat the Saints out in L.A. Then the Saints go to Tampa in the second to last weekend of the season. We know the Bucs came to the Dome and absolutely handled the Saints start to finish in that game. Baker Mayfield was very, very strong, and the Saints offense had no answer for anything that Tampa was doing. But the Bucs have lost 5 of 6 since they started 3-1. That one win was a couple weeks ago, but that's a bad team. I still am not going to pick the Saints to go on the road and beat them. So I've got a loss there. That knocked things up at 8-8, going to the final weekend of the season, which will be the Saints playing Atlanta in New Orleans. I would have the Saints at 8-8, and I think that they will beat Atlanta to go 9-8. Now, what that would do is effectively, in my scenario, where they beat the Falcons on the road this week and in the final week of the season, that would put the Falcons already at 8 losses. So if you assume they're not going to win every other game that's not against the Saints, you're talking about the Saints being division champions at 9-8, and that's pretty easy to deduce. Tampa right now is a team that is at 4-6. And you don't imagine that they're going to get hot late, although their schedule is not brutal, but it is at Indianapolis, and they got Carolina. Then 3 straight road games for Tampa. Just 2 straight. Atlanta and Green Bay before they play Jacksonville, which is big for the Saints, that the Bucs still have to play Jacksonville. Then the Saints, and then the Bucs finish the season at Carolina. As I look at the schedule and I look at where the teams are right now, I think 9-8 is enough. So for the Saints to get to 9-8, you just got to go 4-3 the rest of the way, and that's kind of been what the Saints have been all season long. 2 step forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 step back, whatever the case may be. They've been right around a middling 500 team, and that's all they're going to have to be. So if you figure the Saints can win home games against the Panthers and the Giants, you've got to play the other ones 2 and 3. Like I'm trying to break this down as simply as it can be, as opposed to, breaking down the X's and O's. This is just what's in front of the New Orleans Saints. And we all think that 9-8, winning the South, getting a home playoff game, having Dallas, whoever it is, come into the Dome has kind of been what this thing's been headed for since August. And you sit here after the bye when you can reset and look at things, and we don't know what Derek Carr's future holds in the immediacy, but that's kind of what it feels like, and I think it's realistic. I don't like the Saints to beat the Lions. I don't like them to go out west and beat the Rams. I don't like them to beat Tampa on the road, but they're all winnable. It's nothing on here is absolutely there's not at Kansas City on this schedule here. There's not at Philly on this schedule here. You're playing one good football team, Detroit, and they're coming to you. That's all that's left if you look at the schedule. So I think that's where this is headed. It kind of feels like that's purgatory because you're probably going to keep Dennis Allen, who I don't think is doing an awesome job. We'll see what they do with Pete Carmichael. There's not going to be any, I don't think, radical change in the organization. If you win 9 games, you're above 500, you get to a playoff game, and maybe even win the playoff game. I don't know. I wouldn't pick that if they were playing the Cowboys today, but that's kind of where this thing has always felt, and as I examine the schedule and look at the situation, that's where it feels right now. Well, maybe it's stupid for me to say that they're going to go win the game in Atlanta this week when they've got a quarterback in concussion protocol, your best defensive player in Lattimore is out, Michael Thomas is out, so you're going to have to show your depth at receiver. Like, maybe that's a foolish thing, but I don't think a ton of these 4-6 Falcons who are going back to Desmond Ridder, who I think stinks. So I think the Saints can win the game, but they just feel like they're just stuck in the middle this whole thing, and that's kind of where I feel like they are at this point. So we'll see. Saints and Atlanta coming up on Sunday from the ATL. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.